Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you're doing well. So I welcome you again to your English class, and today we'll study chapter number 3 from your Honeysuckle book, class 6. And the name of the chapter is Taro's Reward. It is a Japanese folk tale. Folk tale means a traditional story that people of a particular region or group repeat among themselves through speech over many years. So, before starting this story, I would like to ask you one question. Do you love your parents? Yes, we all love our parents. And we should always be ready to help our parents in any way, and we should respect and obey them. So, Taro's reward is the story of a thoughtful and loving son who looked after his parents. His dedication and thoughtfulness was rewarded by the god and later by the king when he heard about the incident. So, let's start reading this beautiful and interesting story. So, look at the first paragraph. A young woodcutter named Taro lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. All day long he chopped wood in the forest. Though he worked very hard, he earned very little money. This made him sad, for he was a thoughtful son and wanted to give his old parents everything they needed. So, here in this paragraph, the first difficult word is lonely, which means deserted. A lonely place is one where very few people come. The second word is hillside. It means the sloping surface of a hill. And the third word is chopped, which means cut into pieces. So, this paragraph tells us that Taro was a young woodcutter who used to live on a lonely hillside with his parents. He loved his parents very much and wanted to give them everything they needed. And he used to chop wood in the forest to earn his livelihood. Though he worked very hard but couldn't earn enough to give his parents everything they needed, this made him very sad. One evening, when Taro and his parents were sitting in a corner of their hut, a strong wind began to blow. It whistled through the cracks of the hut, and everyone felt very cold. Suddenly, Taro's father said, I wish I had a cup of sake. It would warm me and do my old heart good. In this paragraph, the phrase whistled through means passed through with a whistling sound, and the word cracks mean narrow gaps or openings. The word sake means a popular Japanese drink, and the word suddenly means quickly and unexpectedly. So, one evening, a cold, strong wind started blowing, and that cold wind passed through the cracks of the hut, and everyone felt very cold. Taro's old father wished for a hot cup of sake. This made Taro sadder than ever, for the heartwarming drink called sake was very expensive. How do I earn more money? He asked himself. How do I get a little sake for my poor old father? He decided to work harder than before. So, here, heartwarming means something positive and good, and therefore causing feelings of pleasure and happiness. And the word expensive means costly. So, after listening to the wish of his father, Taro became very sad because he couldn't afford the drink as it was quite expensive. So, he decided to work harder and earn more money to fulfill his father's wish. So, now look at the paragraph number 4. Next morning, Taro jumped out of bed earlier than usual and made his way to the forest. He chopped and cut as the sun climbed, and soon he was so warm that he had to take off his jacket. His mouth was dry and his face was wet with sweat. My poor old father, he thought, if only he was as warm as I. And with that, he began to chop even faster, thinking of the extra money he must earn to buy the sake to warm the old man's bones. So here in this paragraph, the word usual means fixed. The phrase made his way to means went to. And the word sweat means the clear salty liquid that you pass through your skin. So the next morning, Taro jumped out of his bed earlier than his fixed time and he went to the forest to cut wood. And he kept on chopping and cutting the wood. Soon the sun climbed and he felt so warm that he had to take off his jacket. He was feeling thirsty and his face was wet with sweat. At that time, he was thinking of his father. He wished that his father could also feel that warmth which he was feeling at that time. And this thought reminded him that he had to work harder to earn extra money so that he can buy the sake to warm his old father's body and bones. Then suddenly Taro stopped chopping. What was that sound he heard? Could it possibly be rushing water? Taro couldn't remember ever seeing or hearing a rushing stream in that part of the forest. He was thirsty. The axe dropped out of his hands and he ran in the direction of the sound. So, here in this paragraph, the word possibly means maybe or perhaps. The word stream means a small narrow river. Axe means a tool used for chopping wood. It is typically made of iron with steel edge and wooden handle. And the word dropped means fell. So, this paragraph tells us that while Taro was cutting wood in the forest, he heard the sound of rushing water and he was totally surprised to hear that sound because he couldn't remember ever seeing or hearing a rushing river in that part of the forest. And he was also very thirsty. So, the axe fell out of his hands and he ran in the direction of that sound. Taro saw a beautiful little waterfall hidden behind a rock. Kneeling at a place where the water flowed quietly, he cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Was it water or was it sake? He tasted it again and again, and always it was the delicious sake instead of cold water. In this paragraph, the word hidden means invisible. The word behind means beyond. Kneeling means falling to one's knees. The word cupped means formed one's hand or hands into the curved shape of a cup. The word delicious means tasty, and the word instead means in place of. So when Taro reached the place from where that sound was coming from, he saw a very beautiful little waterfall hidden behind a rock. Because he was very thirsty, he knelt at a place, cupped a little in his hands, and drank that water. But he was totally surprised because that water tasted like sake. And he drank it again and again, but every time he drank it, it tasted like that delicious sake instead of plain cold water. Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. The old man was delighted with the sake. After only one swallow of the liquid, he stopped shivering and did a little dance in the middle of the floor. In this paragraph, the word pitcher means a large jug. Hurried means done very quickly. The word delighted means happy or very pleased. The word swallow means consume. And the word shivering means shaking. So Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with that delicious sake and quickly went home. He offered that delicious sake to his father, and his father was delighted with the sake. And after consuming that sake, his father stopped shivering and danced a little in the middle of the floor to show his happiness. That afternoon, a neighbor stopped by for a visit. Taro's father politely offered her a cup of the sake. The lady drank it greedily and thanked the old man. Then Taro told her the story of the magic waterfall. Thanking them for the delicious drink, she left in a hurry. By nightfall, she had spread the story throughout the whole village. So, here in this paragraph, the word politely means kindly. The word offered means give. It basically means to ask someone if they would like to have something or if they would like you to do something. Okay. The word greedily means as if desiring more and more. The word nightfall means the onset of night. The word spread means open out or lay out. And the word throughout means all over or in every part of a place or object. Okay. So that afternoon, a neighbor came to Taro's house. Taro's father offered her a cup of that delicious sake, and Taro told her the story of that magic waterfall. And by the onset of night, she spread the story of that magic waterfall throughout the whole village. That evening, there was a long procession of visitors to the woodcutter's house. Each man heard the story of the waterfall and took a sip of the sake. In less than an hour, the pitcher was empty. In this paragraph, the word procession means a number of people moving forward in an orderly manner. Okay. And the word sip means to drink only a very small amount at a time. So, this paragraph tells us that after hearing the story of that magic waterfall, every man from that village came to Taro's house to taste that delicious sake. And within an hour, the pitcher of that delicious sake was empty. Next morning, Taro started for work even earlier than the morning before. He carried with him the largest pitcher he owned, for he intended first of all to go to the waterfall. When he reached it, he found to his great surprise all his neighbors there. They were carrying pitchers, jars, buckets, anything they could find to hold the magic sake. Then one villager knelt and held his mouth under the waterfall to drink. He drank again and again and then shouted angrily, "Water, nothing but water." Others also tried, but there was no sake, only cold water. In this paragraph, the word intended means planned. So the next morning, Taro started for his work earlier than the last morning, and he carried with him the largest pitcher to fill with the sake. But when he reached the magic waterfall, he was totally surprised to see all his neighbors there. And all the neighbors carried anything they could find to hold the magic sake. Then one villager knelt and drank that water from the magic waterfall. But when he tasted the water, he found it just the plain water and nothing else. So this made him very angry. Even other people also tried, but they also found it to be a cold, plain water. "We have been tricked," shouted the villagers. "Where is Taro? Let us drown him in this waterfall." But Taro had been wise enough to slip behind a rock when he saw how things were going. He was nowhere to be found. In this paragraph, the word tricked means deceived, and the word wise means intelligent. So, after drinking the water from that magic waterfall, every villager felt that it was not the sake, it was just plain cold water. So, they felt that they have been tricked, they have been cheated by Taro. So, they decided to drown Taro in the same waterfall. They wanted to kill Taro. But Taro was very intelligent. The moment he felt that the villagers will now kill him, he just slipped behind a rock and he was nowhere to be found. Muttering their anger and disappointment, the villagers left the place one by one. Taro came out from his hiding place. Was it true? He wondered. Was the sake a dream? Once more he caught a little liquid in his hand and put it to his lips. It was the same fine sake. To the thoughtful son, the magic waterfall gave the delicious sake. To everyone else, it gave only cold water. In this paragraph, the word muttering means speaking unclearly. The word disappointment means sadness. And the word wondered means desire to know something. So as the villagers were looking for Taro because they wanted to kill him, because they felt that they have been tricked, they have been deceived by Taro. But Taro was hiding behind a rock. So after some time, the villagers left the place. And when they left the place, Taro came out. And once again, he tasted the water from that magic waterfall. And to his surprise, that waterfall gave him the sake, that delicious sake. But the same waterfall gave the villagers the plain cold water. So he was totally surprised. So do you know that why that magic waterfall gave Taro the delicious sake and the other villagers just plain cold water? Yes, because Taro was a very thoughtful and sincere boy. And he worked very hard to fulfill his father's wish. He worked very hard to make them happy, to make his parents happy. So that sake from the waterfall was a kind of reward given by the Mother Earth to Taro for his dedication, hard work, thoughtfulness and sincerity. The story of Taro and his magic waterfall reached the Emperor of Japan. He sent for the young woodcutter and rewarded him with 20 pieces of gold for having been so good and kind. Then he named the most beautiful fountain in the city after Taro. This, said the emperor, was to encourage all children to honor and obey their parents. In this paragraph, the word emperor means king. The word rewarded means to give something to someone in recognition of their services, efforts, or achievements. And the word encourage means inspire or motivate. So the Emperor of Japan got to know about the story of Taro and the magic waterfall, and he rewarded Taro with 20 pieces of gold for having been so good and kind, for having been so hardworking and sincere. Then he named the most beautiful fountain in the city after Taro, and this was done to encourage all children to obey, honor, and respect their parents. Okay. So this story teaches us a lesson that we should always work hard to fulfill the dreams and wishes of our parents. And we should always be thoughtful, obedient and hardworking to make our parents' lives happier. And you know what? With hard work one can get whatever he wants, and even nature helps that person with miracle, just like nature helped Taro in fulfilling his father's wish. Okay. So this was all about the story Taro's Reward, and I hope you enjoyed reading this story. And I hope that you will also respect and obey your parents, and you will do your best to fulfill their dreams and wishes. Okay? So this is all for today, and we'll meet once again in a new video with a new topic. Till then, take care, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.